Welcome back to the Lantern Rouge Cycling Podcast. For our weekly show, there's loads of news to wrap up or recap. Races that have been going on outside of the Giro d'Italia. Olympic selections is not just bitterness and regret on the part of Richard Carapaz. Also, France and the Netherlands have a few controversial selections. So we've got a full packed schedule as well as Miguel Angel Lopez. Perhaps they heard our cry, I think maybe a weekly show a month or two ago, where we thought you cannot have this man suspended indefinitely. Judgment from the UCI has been handed down on Miguel Superman Lopez. This episode is brought to you by our show partner, Join Cycling, the #1 adaptive training platform for your cycling goals. Benji, what have you done in the last 3 days? Be honest with everybody since the Giro finished.
I'm actually going to have to make a confession. I remember saying on this podcast a few weeks ago that I never run. And yesterday I went for a run, which big mistake, big injury possible based on all the injuries we see in cycling. But I survived, so I can go back on the bike today doing my join ride today. But I actually enjoyed doing a bit of a run because I've been training more than I did like 4 years ago on the bike, because let's be honest about it, I've significantly increased my training even though I'm not doing it every day yet. I noticed that I ran my fastest kilometer yesterday at like a jogging pace, which means that my cycling has improved my running significantly.
Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, running's a tricky one, as Matthew Dinham and Liana Lippert found out in the off season the hard way. Cycling is great for injury risk until, like me, you bin it every 6 to 8 weeks. But the race recaps: Tour of Norway, quite an interesting race actually, because the second stage had a 5k 9% climb there or thereabouts. And Norway, I don't know if the air is special there, but they always do nuclear climbing climbs there. I think it's a combination of certain things. Being climbs are very steep, so Galstertoppen in 2022, Remco Plabvine did big numbers. Climbs are very steep. It's cool weather conditions, as long as it's not raining. And the climbs start and finish at very low altitude. They start at sea level, essentially. And so that makes for good performances. And they're generally after pretty, it's a pro race. They're not after the Col de la Loze type stage. And but stage one, Benji, Thibaut Nice came in, the red hot favorite for GC. And he'd won in Romandy from the breakaway ahead of Vendrame, who then won a mountain break in the Giro against good guys. And stage one looked like he was on.
Yeah, stage one looked like he was on, but it was also a weird situation because Vacek was doing the lead out on the climb for Nice. By the way, Vacek's been amazing the last couple of weeks for Nice and as an individual rider as well. And on that first finish, on that first steeper finish, there was a guy, a Tudor rider, in their wheel, in both those Trek riders' wheel, and he lost the wheel. The UNO-X riders in that wheel didn't close the gap. So we basically had two little Trek riders together with the UNO-X rider that just did a lead out riding off into the distance, and they dropped the UNO-X rider. Vacek and Nice rode to the finish, and Nice dropped his teammate and won the stage. So really impressive stage win, in my opinion, because like, they're losing the wheel, not just because the Tudor rider is there, but also because the UNO-X riders can't close the gap because they're just strong, Nice and Vacek. So
yeah,
after that stage, I was thinking, okay,
And the UNO-X guys also wanted to both go for their own result.
Yeah, all three of them.
Yeah.
But after the stage, Nice being in the lead and so forth, how do you see his chances for the Gulligen climb on stage 2? Because I thought, okay, that's a lot harder.
I thought he had it wrapped, to be honest, because Vacek could just shut it down and he's already ahead on time and bonies. But that wasn't the case. I think he had a bit of sickness before the race. I can't remember exactly. But what ended up happening was Marco Brenner was maybe the strongest. And the good climbers of Brenner, maybe Halter, Ane Halter, who's a decent prospect on UNO-X, and Bart Lemon, the Visma Lease bike rider, he was the best out of Bowman and Van Aert. And we saw Van Aert dropping early on stage one, so clearly not in the best shape, unsurprisingly. But it all came back after there's a little plateau after that hard climb. They did big numbers. Vacek straight up drops Thibaut Nice and becomes he could have won GC here in this race. But of course, how were they to know on stage 1 that he would be stronger here? But he was so strong he could have won GC, but in the end, Laurence, maybe he was always there, but Hayter definitely comes back in the wheel of Oscar Rodriguez, and Laurence wins the sprint, actually gapping everyone except Hayter and Lemon. Stage 3 was a pure bunch sprint. Jordi Meus won. Van Aert got involved. He came 4th. Christophe looked good. He's actually looked pretty solid this season in 3rd. Then stage 4 was the Stavanger. Stavanger, I can't do it. Anyway, it's where Christophe lives, and he's won this stage before. Quite a technical finish with a few hills where the Grisabachen, which is quite steep, this circuit around the city, and Christophe won the sprint. But interestingly, there was a group of Vacek up the road with Lemon and what's his name? Laurence. And Vacek was riding full for GC, and Laurence, who was in the GC lead by 12 seconds ahead of Lemon, he didn't relay. And I was kind of surprised because first of all, you avoid a chaotic sprint finish. Secondly, he would have won the stage easily. And yeah, so I was kind of surprised that he didn't relay with Vacek, and Vacek actually ends up not in the podium on GC, even though he's very, very strong. So Laurence wins GC, Christophe wins that stage, Lemon's second on GC, Adne Holter, because of his good stage 2, in 3rd, and Vacek 4th. Brennan looked quite good again in 5th.
Exactly, and to be honest, when it comes to the overall view on this race, I was kind of surprised how well Laurence did, because on stage 1 I expected more from him, but on stage 2 he overperformed compared to my expectations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I thought at stage 1 he'd straight up clean it, to be honest. And even he didn't even pull behind Thibaut Nace, when they went clear with Vacek on stage 1. So maybe he really was on the limit. But he's an interesting rider. He just, in Tour of Flanders, you see a DNF, but if you watch the race, you realize he was attacking with moves with 100 Ks to go. And Catalunya, he won a stage. Bessèges, he beat Pedersen uphill, which is kind of like that stage 1. Flèche 18th. He's still 23 years old, so it's his first year. It's his first year not as a U23 rider. And I assume he'll be pretty hot property if they haven't extended him at Alpecin de Koenig already. So yeah, he wins GC, probably the biggest. I would say I'll probably put that above a stage at Catalunya, honestly, Benji. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
To me, it's more impressive, actually.
More important.
Well, to is more important, but this is more impressive than beating Lecoq. No offense to him in a sprint in Catalunya. The versatility he showed.
Yeah.
So we'll see what sort of rider he is. But if you want to develop into the best possible rider you can be, Join Cycling is the platform for you. I'll be doing a little fitness update on the Patrick Bro YouTube channel, actually, in the next couple of days. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it's going, because, yeah, I just put all my training into intervals.icu and just saw, the steady, gradual build-up. And it's crazy seeing, how... Well, not crazy. That's what Join Cycling's programs are supposed to do. So it's not surprising. But yeah, just seeing how the 3 days on, 1 day off, the fitness goes up 5 to 6 every week without the the TSB, training stress balance, or whatever intervals.icu has, going into the red really at all. So I'm always feeling able to train for 3 days and then have that rest day off, and it's going really, really well. I've got a 2x20 minute not FTP threshold session straight after this, Benji. I go out to Sorten and back up Borodino. Yeah, I know. Big day. And then Mrs. Rouge has actually planned a staycation for us straight after. But I said I got to do the Join session beforehand. There's currently no slider in the Join app to deal with familial requests. They can update that, but yeah, I'm really, really happy with how it's going, and I'm keen to see where I'll be in a month or 6 weeks in summer. I think during the middle of the 6 weeks into my Stamina Builder program, there's a test or check where my FTP is, so I'll also keep you updated on that. So I'm really, really happy, and if you want to check it out, you can get 30 days free trial through the link down below. Special LRCP offer, no strings attached, so you can try it for yourself, see if it works for you. It's adaptable, flexible, and that's what I like the most about it, because yeah, maybe I can't do 2.5 hours, but I can do 1.5 hours, and instead of being oh, what's the point, and just spinning off my training completely, I just keep it going. So yeah, Thanks to Join, our show partner, for their support during the Giro and for the rest of this year as well. I can't wait to see where we get with Join Cycling. London, Benji, where you went.
Lorena Wiebes basically won every single stage with lead out of Kopecky. That's about the summary I can give for this race. On any stage, there was no one really close on beating Wiebes. Cole was the most consistent behind Wiebes, though, so I don't think we can write her off completely. But it's just a clear domination by Wiebes and the SD Works squad. They're as simple as that. And then I look at another Dutchman that's winning races, one Rundum Köln in front of Binyam Girmay, is Casper van Uden. Then Binyam won Circuit Franco-Belge yesterday in a versatile sprint. So we had this feeling during the Giro that I understand that Binyam abandoned after his 2 crash in that Giro stage, but I also had the thought of, I feel like he's going to regret that tomorrow morning, because it felt like an abandonment of like, I don't want to ride anymore after hitting the deck twice. It felt like more a mental than a physical abandon during that race. That makes sense? No criticism, eh?
He abandoned the second time because he crashed the second time.
Yeah.
Is what it was. And also he abandoned, like, he crashed in a sprint stage where he was in the hills, desperate to get back on. If he'd had that crash on a random mountain stage, he wouldn't have been taking all those risks on a wet descent. He wouldn't have crashed the second time. And yeah, you clearly see, like, he's just come out and he's still in really, really good shape. Like, what did he came 9th in Antwerp Port Epic, which was still during the Giro.
Yeah.
So he's still in good shape. So yeah, that's a shame for him, but still, you know, like, in terms of points for Intermarché and runs on the board, he takes his biggest win of the season so far. And I think now he'll do the Tour. I can't imagine him not doing the Tour as long as it works with everything. So yeah, I think he probably will do the Tour. Lenny Martinez beat Clement Berthet at Mercantour Classics Alpes-Maritimes. He crashed uphill. I think Sosa crashed. So many people were crashing uphill. All these like 55-kilo guys just hitting their deck at 20 kilometers an hour. Berthet was very strong, but Lenny, this doesn't actually finish like on the mountain. So what the climbs they do is climbs that'll be familiar to you from Paris-Nice. So La Colmienne and Col de la Couillole, they've used both of them as mountaintop finishes in Paris-Nice in the last couple of years. Couillole is where Poggi won ahead of Godou and Vingegaard last year, but it actually, that crest 15Ks from the finish. So then there's like a 1,600 meter, 6.5%, 2 of those punches where Lenny is unstoppable. So he takes his 6th win and his, how many wins has he got this season? 5th win this season. He's farming them 1-1s in France.
And like we're gonna see Lenny Martinez at some point at the bigger races, and I'm looking at which ones those are right now. Is he going to the Dauphiné? No, he's not. He's going to Swiss, then Burgos, then Vuelta. So a focus on Vuelta apparently. What, sorry?
He should have done the Dauphiné.
Parcours says yes to me.
Yeah, but he can still win in Swiss.
Yes, but my memory of Swiss route said something along the lines of, okay, the parcours was easier than I remember. Oh, actually, no, it's not. It's pretty hard still. So
yeah. And there's the flat TT is 5Ks to start, and then the last TT is the Villars-sur-Olon mountain TT. I take it back. FDJ are right to send him to the Tour de Suisse for GC.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think they're right. I'm wrong. Yeah, that's all the races that's been on. It's been, I don't know. What did you see? Did you see any young guys poke their head out? Some young, talented rider anywhere, Benji, that you're like, oh, he's not too bad? Because to be honest, it's like Lenny doing that's not surprising. Zangler Hirschi being 2nd and 3rd is not surprising. Yeah. I'll say it for you. Jenno Bergmoes, if that's how you say his name, on Lotto Destiny. He's like got to be one of their top 5 point scorers or something. He is quietly in his not his Neo-Pro year, because he was a professional on Flanders Baloise for 2 years, but he is actually not a bad rider. Finished Tour of Flanders and Dwars Door in the top 50, 15th in Brabant, 4th in Circuit Franco-Belge. He just looks like a good, versatile rider with a bit of a kick.
Yeah, he's a good rider. He's got a kick. He's that. I think the first days where he really shined through was already in Bessèges. I'm pretty sure where he got a top 10 on one of the Laurence Pedersen fight stages. And then through Copia Bartali, etc., he got better and better. He was actually relatively strong at RVV until the last 30 kilometers where he kind of collapsed through groups. So Cobble Classics is not impossible for him. I would look more towards a Brabantse Pijl in the near future where he got 15th this year, for example, to continue maybe progressing in those type of races. But he's a talented rider, and it's like we knew this guy was on the radar already, so it's not necessarily that he like showed up to the forefront and is now like, oh.
I'll be honest, I didn't know who he was, Benji.
Really? I've spoken about him on here.
No. I meant before this year. Yeah, I've heard his name.
Yeah, okay.
I've heard his name this year because he won a stage in Settimana ahead of Bowman.
And it's the same with Emilien Janière. You've spoken about him a few times. He gets 5th, for example, at Circuit Franco-Belge. And he's been, he's not the youngest. He's 25. It's still young enough to be seen as a prospect. But he's also consistent throughout the season. And it's those type of riders that really shine through in these races, the ones that can actively score points for teams that might be valuable here and there. And it's just a confirmation again for Nys and Vacek. It's all over. I've got that feeling. And like Nerurkar, for example, doing relatively solid at Mercantour, getting 9th there after getting 4th at Eschborn Frankfurt. I actually think that Eschborn Frankfurt result is more unexpected than the Mercantour one, I think, for Nerurkar. But you just get the talents reconfirming the ones we already had on the radar, is how I feel about the last week.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of people doing what they're expected to be doing. What I couldn't understand was UnoX tactics in that Franco-Belge race where they had Tiller with Rota and one other guy, Clear. Tiller was clearly the quickest. It was a UAE with Schurtbacks, so Schurtbacks not a great sprinter. Tiller got a nasty kick on a short uphill drag. He won Dwars door Het Hageland, I think, twice like that. And he stopped relaying, stopped really fully committing. And he finished still after being in that move on the same time as Bini, like 5 seconds ahead of Bax. So I was and Rota. So I don't know why he didn't relay or commit. While we're speaking about Lotto Destiny, Benji, why don't we move to the news regarding them, given that we're talking about maybe extensions of riders like Berkmoos or Milan Merton. Bram van den Capella, he has some news about the team.
Yeah, this morning, Bram van den Capella brought out an article on HLN, which is the newspaper he tends to write for, about the future of Lotto Destiny. And parts of it were, for example, related to sponsor stuff, but also related to transfer stuff. And the main gist of the article, I do want to tell you, read the article because his work is really good. But the main important part is that Destiny is likely to exit as a title sponsor. They're now the second title sponsor of the team next to Lotto. And that when it comes to the amount of money that is gone due to that is roughly around 6 million and has to be replaced somehow. And there's a potential 2 co-sponsors of each 3 million that could replace that. A brand called Digi, I think, is included in that. I have no clue what that is. But maybe if they sponsor Lotto, we might figure it out. But on the side things of that, that's the first thing. The financial trouble, perhaps, when it comes to sponsorships. Let's hope those 2 co-sponsors are on the radar, like the Digi one, because then they might have a more secured future. But in addition to that, there was also news about Kampenaerts and Kroon that they're likely to exit the team. Well, the thing with Kroon is, at the start of this year, there were rumors already publicly that he would be leaving the team during this season already. So he eventually ended up staying for the season. So it's not shocking to me that when his contract ends, that Kroon then leaves. Kampenaerts,
but he's not performing this year,
wouldn't resign. What, sorry?
He's not. Kroon is nowhere near as good as last year.
During the Hill Classics, I saw a solid level, but the problem was that he made the wrong decisions. He made the wrong decisions, and before, for example, a group goes up the road, he tends to either wait until the group is far enough or jump with the wrong groups in the first place, if that makes sense. And it's not easy to predict which group is going to go, but if it happens 3 races in a row, then I'm like, okay, we got to try and figure out how to how to jump with the right groups in the next couple of races instead. And that bottled his chances. But also next to that, I wouldn't expect him to compete for a podium in those races anyway with the form he had. It's like he was decent enough, but if you're strong enough, you can bridge to the groups that you need to be in anyway.
Yeah, then, like when Pidcock starts jumping, you're like, oh, I don't know. Do you reckon that might be the group?
I do want to add, when it comes to Campenaerts,
so he's rumored to leave.
Rumored to leave, and from my perspective, the way I see it is that in races that Lotto Destiny has had with Campenaerts, that Campenaerts has this like not necessarily leader role, but like just under leader role, to the point that he might not be doing lead outs to a climb, for example, for an actual leader, which is hard to say this year because the lead was fighting ticks in the fields of Flanders. But I think
in Flanders he was their best rider.
Yeah, he was their best rider, but it's also very like 27th.
Yeah, I think a better example. Sorry, that's the wrong example. You do me something like San Remo, where Van Gils is like top 10 guy, and VC can't win. You want to see him before the Poggio just line it out for Van Gils,
for example.
Okay,
but also in addition to that, I also think that financially, I feel like Campenaerts is more expensive than other people that could make those same results that he did this year.
Yeah, he's kind of like he's quite versatile in that he's like a rouleur who's not, he's not 80 kilos. But, when he's been paired with Dali in the minor classics, I've seen it work really, really well. But to your point, Benji, it's like in Paris-Nice without a GC rider or Van Gils, and he can't win the stage, it's like, then what do you do with him? So I take your point.
It's almost as if you need to have a combination of like the De Gent style riding in the peloton, which is weird to say when it comes to Campenaerts, combined with breakaway opportunities left and right where possible on those breakaway stages that you expect to be breakaway stages.
But then he's going to do the Tour, and like the tour breakaways, the ones that he would get in, the names that get in those breaks are obscene. Casper Asgreen, Moritz, Van Aert, Laporte. How the fuck can you win? How can anyone win? Like, Van Aert and Asgreen was on a crazy level, and Moritz, he's a monument winner. And even in the Giro, Giro's a little bit softer. And so you did see, like, okay, Sanchez won, but he's still a great rider.
He's the kind of rider you'd like to have in the breakaway with the lead in the Tour de France.
You mean like an elite tug buddy? Okay, I understand.
For example, but also on like if you want to win the gravel stage, for example, or any stage where he needs to be in position, Campenaerts can be valuable for positioning the lead, in my opinion. Yeah. But that's something I haven't seen in the last 1 year and a half, which I'm also like, does he want that? Does the team want that?
I reckon I've seen him sacrifice for the lead.
Not this year.
Yeah, but Dali had Lyme disease this year.
Yeah, but even last year, I feel like it was very limited.
Oh, I don't know. I remember like what are these races? I need to go rewatch 2023 circuit. No, I'm not going to do it. But I'll just take Benji. Benji's correct. I'm not watching 2023 Circuit Franco-Belge to see if Victor Campenaerts did a pull or not.
It's also understandable because in the years of, what was it, 2022, 2021, where he was fighting for the victory in Dwars of Vlaanderen.
Yeah. He was. So if the group wasn't so generous to Van der Poel, he wins that race.
Yeah. So when he's on point, he has the level.
5th in Omloop that year too.
But his level this year, like with Campenaerts, the issue is also if you're in Brabant Sepelde, for example, if Benoot goes on, what is it? Is it Canarieberg? No, it's the other one. What's it called? No, the one after that.
Gerard.
What the hell did you just call me?
Gerard Hertstraat.
No, I don't remember which climb it is, but the Benoot style climbs. If Benoot goes on a Benoot style climb, then Kampenarts is not in that group. He's just behind that group, which is a difficult situation to be in, you know?
Yeah, because it's okay when he's paired with like a Van Gils who can go with Bernard, but yeah, it's I see what you mean. Miguel Angel Lopez Benji. He has finally
It was Canadiberg, by the way. After Bertenhouten, my bad.
I don't know. I mean, they all call them different names. I swear they have two names.
It's the Benootberg, my friend. Come on. He always goes on Canadiberg.
I thought he was good on the starts with B. What's the one that Schoenstrup Van Aert on?
Berendries?
Berendries.
No. He's also good on that.
It's
similar
on that climb, yeah.
It's not the similar climb, but it's similar vibe.
For Americans, Australians, UK, it's the same road. Prove me wrong. It's the same climb.
I'm not taking that.
Miguel Angel Lopez has been finally properly suspended, not just a provisional suspension. The UCI released a statement yesterday. The Union Ciclista Internacional advises that the UCI Anti-Doping Tribunal has rendered a decision against Colombian rider Miguel Angel Lopez. The tribunal found Lopez guilty of an anti-doping rule violation for use and possession of a prohibited substance, being menotropin, within the Giro d'Italia 2022, where he abandoned after the ETA stage. They've imposed a 4-year suspension on the rider. In accordance with the WADA code, the suspension starts on, it's backdated to 25 July last year and will remain until 24 July 2027. Important note here. As a reminder, the disciplinary proceeding was initiated following an investigation conducted by the ITA, but based on evidence obtained from the Guardia Civil and the Spanish anti-doping organization in the Operación Ilex concerning Dr. Marcos Minor. The UCI welcomes this valuable collaboration. So what that basically means, Benji, is that, once again, anti-doping is the police that get it done. This wasn't him testing positive at a race. This is the police did an investigation into a doctor because the doctor was doing illegal activity, well, allegedly, minor. One of the clients was Lopez, and so he's collateral damage from this investigation into the doctor. And then the UCI heard that this was happening, and I assume there was a collaboration between the two, but it is initiated by the Spanish police. But just thought I'd say that.
Before we continue, let's go over the steps. 2022, Lopez is suspended and fired by Astana. 2023, he is signed by Medellin, a UCI Continental team from Colombia that has doesn't really have a spotless record when it comes to signing ex-dopers in their team. But he was signed by that team, and then he gets provisionally suspended in 2023 based on evidence obtained by the Guardia Civil, like that thing. But then the other week, I think during the Vuelta, first week of the Vuelta, we hear that Lopez was suing Astana over a wrongful dismissal at the Court of Arbitration of Sports, which is like the place where you go if you lost something or if you feel unfairly treated by the UCI or something, or you lost the case.
That's where Lopez can appeal this decision, this new decision. If you want to appeal it, CAS.
So Lopez went there over the Astana potential alleged wrongful dismissal, in the words of Lopez. And there were reports, I think, in the first week of the Vuelta that he won that case at CAS.
It was last month.
Yeah. So
it was 2 weeks ago. How embarrassing for CAS. 3 weeks ago. And I think it's not a coincidence that this UCI judgment comes down. It cannot be.
Yeah.
But 3 weeks ago, CAS rules that Astana have to pay him his 2022 wages after they fired him. And Astana, I mean, I hope for Astana's sake, I doubt it. I doubt Astana transferred him that cash already. Because Astana would be like, no fucking way. And then, now that he's suspended because of, he's been found guilty of an ADRV within 20, I mean, it's kind of a mess, the timing of this, because CAS just ruled that, so now Astana will be like, no, he did commit an ADRV, UCI said it, so we're not paying him the 2022 wages.
Yeah, but to me, it's very confusing that CAS can say there's no evidence for in the Astana case, and then the UCI can come out, because Kaz already knew about the Guardia Civil Operation Ilex thing. Like, we spoke about it 1.5 years ago, about the Menotropin thing. Because to be clear, this is all about a narrative where Lopez for the Giro d'Italia in 2022 injected or was injected by Menotropin, and it had a bad effect, perhaps, is what was rumored at the time. Due to that, he had to leave the Giro d'Italia after the Etna stage. First of all, am I the only one that finds it ironic that someone injects himself with Menotropin for a group sprint mountain finish? Or is that short-sighted?
So dumb, man. Like, incredible.
But that aside, laughing at the situation aside, I also am then thinking, okay, we've got this whole Guardia Civil Operation Ilex thing in this case, where the UCI is ruling based on that Lopez is going to be suspended for 4 years. But we just had an entire storyline in the last Vuelta in 2023 about Caja Rural allegedly having team-organized doping related to a Guardia Civil article. Marca reported on that. But the outcome for that was that...
with the same doctor.
Yeah, the same doctor, the same Operation Ilex. But from there, the only conclusion so far is that the Euskaltel manager, I think, who allegedly leaked that document, was being prosecuted for that. But no consequences have been heard surrounding Caja Rural in that case. So, like, if the Euskaltel guy is being seen as guilty for leaking a Guardia Civil document that includes that shows to me that document is real. Because otherwise, you're not leaking a Guardia Civil document. Otherwise, you're leaking a fake Guardia Civil document. Which, as an outcome to that, I'm thinking, okay, are we going to have the same effect in a couple of years? Because it took 2 years for this to come out when it comes to the UCI. Finally, a 4-year suspension on Lopez because of this. It's going to take 2 years for Caja Rural to be suspended.
I know, and it's like, because there's no smoking gun of like a positive test or anything, like, or no one's been arrested yet, like, in relation to at least.
Yeah, but
that
what
was why
does this do for the confidence in anti-doping in 2024? Because, like, if it always has to come through the police, like,
because the police don't care about your timeline. Like, the police are like, no, they're like, we're building a case. And it'll reach its conclusion when we're ready, when we have enough evidence from like a criminal law perspective.
This criminal law perspective, when it comes to Operation Ilex in the Lopez case, hasn't even gone to court yet.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but the problem was he was winning everything in South America. Nothing was happening. And then he was going to do world championships. And then all of a sudden, bam, provisionally suspended. And then he's provisionally suspended for ages. Ages. And then Cass, the reason I haven't read the Cass judgment yet, I don't know if it's out on the release yet, I'll have to read it, but I assume because Astana fired him before he was provisionally suspended by the UCI. The UCI provisional suspension came 1 year later.
Yep.
So Cass was was saying you can't provisionally suspend someone on rumors or whatever. You have to you can't fire someone because of rumors or because they were stopped by the police at the airport twice. But then now it turns out that Astana, they according to the UCI, they had to fire him. So very, very, very messy all the timing. And it's now 2 years after that Giro d'Italia. And anyway, we'll see if he appeals to Cass. Because maybe if he appeals to Cass, this isn't the last we hear of it. He has a month to appeal this judgment. Injury updates, Benji.
Yes.
Jay Vine is cleared to... the UA team doctor said he's cleared to start gentle outdoor training, which I can tell you means doing long reps. It's not gentle. He's doing like an HC climb in Andorra up and then shuttles down. That's what Geesink was doing. I think Geesink got dropped off in the city where he broke his hand. I saw on Strava. And then on the mountain bike, rode the mountain bike on the road for like 2 hours all the way to the top of Andorra. and then got picked up at the top.
Crazy.
It is. That's what the way these guys are just built different, and also, you know, their wives or partners also play a huge role in supporting them and helping them, because they can't do it all themselves, and that's what sort of goes on behind the scenes. Is that like it's a team process to get back and rehabilitate yourself.
Talking about rehabilitation, first of all, nice that we see Jay Vine back on the bike. I hope to see him in races at some point, either this year or at the start of next year. I don't care when it is. I just want to see him being able to do what he loves doing, what he's good at doing on the bike again. Jonas Vingegaard, same story. He's doing gentle outdoor training. No, I'm kidding. He's arrived at Tignes apparently, according to BT, which is a Danish media outlet, cycling related, I think. That he has made enough improvements to begin training normally. I don't know the in-depths of that, but I think that's a positive, and I think it was still unclear whether he would be ready for the Tour de France, because like I think the team of Visma has been bringing out will bring Vingegaard to the Tour de France if he's 100%, but on the other hand, like I think they're also going to bring him to the Tour de France if he's 90%, you know? It's like if he's close enough to be ready, I think he'll go.
And how do you even know?
Yeah.
Like
Pogacar last year.
This is not an exact science. No, like with Poggy last year.
There's no HP bar.
Well, yeah, you can't exactly. Oh, he's, you know, like he's exactly here, so therefore he will do this. Like they're human beings. It's like with Pogacar last year.
Someone can look good on training on 5 efforts, but then after 2 weeks in a Grand Tour, he might not have enough of the base to then being able to deliver it in the final week either. That makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like Poggy last year did his best, not fresh numbers, but like Puy de Dôme was not an attritional stage, and he did like one of his best 30-minute performances there. And then even on Juplin was quite good, but then fell through in the 3rd week on Col de la Loze. But maybe... Again, we assume that's maybe Poggy got sick. You don't know. Like maybe he didn't. Maybe it was the bad. I don't know. So it's not an exact science. But the Danish press is like hounding him. Benji, it's like
crazy.
Not hounding him, but like
they're hounding.
I mean, I understand. He is like is he one of the biggest Danish athletes on the Tour de France?
As long as they leave him alone when he's at home or when it comes to his personal phone numbers of the family and so forth, it's fine for me. If they show up on the corner of the city waiting all day for him to pass by, I'm okay with that.
Exactly. He's training on public roads.
If they're at his door, that's a problem.
I agree. And that's what seemed to be the case, is that they were in like the general area where he trains on a bike path. And I saw the video, the guy just took a video, said, "Hey, Jonas."
And Jonas said, "Hey," back, and he wrote pass.
Doug. I mean, I actually think that's totally fine, to be honest.
Yeah. Finally,
sorry.
Before we go to transfer update, the 3rd one, I just read it on Twitter somewhere, so I don't have a single source, which is probably not the nicest thing to do.
What's he about to say?
We're just gonna shush a little bit, but Remco is going to the Dauphiné, of course. But I also read somewhere that he might not be at his absolute best yet at the Dauphiné, that he's a bit behind still, if that makes sense, which is, it's logical. He also got injured. He broke his shoulder blade, he broke his collarbone.
Yeah.
But compared to Vingegaard, he should be closer to the expected level, I think, for the Tour de France at this point.
No. He and Roglic were like back on the bike pretty quick, I think, at least on the rollers. Actually seems like Jay and Steph Kras were the ones held off the bike the longest even.
I wonder how Kras is doing, because we always hear about
the positive, but I haven't heard much about Kras. He was really badly hurt.
Yeah, I heard him talk about safety at some point in Belgian media, but if anyone knows news about Kras, you can send it to the comments section below on YouTube. But you said it, transfer updates. I actually I think we've spoken about a lot of transfer updates in the last week of the Giro.
Particularly the women's.
Yeah,
the women's market has been hot, like bang, but also rumors everywhere.
On one end, the money has gone up significantly. We're talking high 6 figures for riders like Kopecky and mid 6 figures for riders like Niewiadoma these days. But That's one thing, which is great. It's great to see the salaries on women's cycling up, even though it's currently the top level cyclists that are going up. The rest will follow through with that. We've seen that effect before. But on the other hand, it's also there's less riders under contract every year because there's on paper still shorter contract lengths because of the past being 1 year contracts.
Yeah.
So there's so many more riders available than on men's cycling, which I'm actually not complaining about. I think we should introduce a max contract length of 2 years in cycling.
Nah, that would be chaos and probably not good for the riders.
But it would be great and entertaining for us.
Dude,
and
imagine if Poggy would hit the market every 2 years. Holy shit. Maybe
let's reduce the job security in cycling for our pleasure.
Dude, if Poggy hit the market, I'd have a delegation in Monaco. I'd be going there, like, listen, forget what I said in the past. Come on. we can make it, yeah. That would be crazy.
Imagine Vingegaard and Pogacar on the same team.
I can't imagine that.
Please no.
I actually endorse your suggestion now that I think about it. It'd be
nah.
The sponsor
we
would also be
job
bad.
Security for the
It'd
riders.
also be bad for the teams because how do you say to sponsors, yeah, that our top rider, yeah, he could leave in a year.
Yeah, but
On
the other hand, currently they're saying to riders, "Oh, you can stay until 2030," while they might not even have a sponsor until then. So they're now fucking the riders over.
True, but I guess
it's a two-way street, eh?
Some of the teams have guarantees, but yeah,
yeah, fair. There's guarantees up to a certain point, you know.
Yes. The not too much transfer news made in the last week, but that we didn't mention during the Giro. But Roger Hammond becomes new sports director at Bora Hansgrohe. I wouldn't normally talk about sort of DS changes, but he was actually at the Ineos Grenadiers. In fact, he wasn't just a director of sportif there. I think he was the head of racing. So in the role that Steve Cummings is currently in and was promoted in. So Hammond left Ineos in the reshuffle / purge last year. When
do we know if left or got fired?
I don't know. He left.
Mutual agreement to leave.
I think so.
That's a nice way of saying it, I think.
So he joins Bora on June 1st and will be with them at Tour de Suisse. I don't know if he'll be at the Tour de France with them, but yeah.
I think that's too close in the future.
Yeah, I don't think so.
To like be in the position in the job already and then jump into the tour directly. I think we'll see him in other races first. But that's the only news there is. And I like when it comes to signing a new DS, it's always very difficult to judge whether they're going to be good at the team or not, because I have some prejudices when it comes to certain DSs in the peloton where I feel like, okay, when this person is in the car at a certain team, the tactics look like shit. So it's like that's on one end. When this person's in the car in that team, I feel like I would have confidence that that team is going to likely apply the necessary tactics to maximize their chances of victory. So it's kind of like depends on who's in the car, but it's very difficult to see as well because
it's so hard to know. Like Sam Bewley, was he in the car at Catalunya, and was it his idea that Schultz and Williams did it like that on stage one, or did Williams just let Schultz wheel go in a corner?
I think he was in the car, no?
But even if he was, like, who do you get credit for? Is it the rider Williams making a really smart decision? Because it's not after the race they don't go, so happy for this victory in the press release. By the way, this was Bewley's plan all along. He pinpointed that corner. They don't say that.
For example, the UAE Tour, when Van Eetveld took those bonus seconds on a flat stage,
that was his idea,
eventually ended up winning his GC. That was Van Eetveld's decision. That was he brought that up in the team, and he brought it up because I think a staff member or masseur the day before jokingly said, "What if you go on a flat stage and take some bonus seconds?" Ha 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 ha. And then Van Eetveld was like, "Sure, let's do it." So technically, it's Van Eetveld plus that I think Masseur or something that get the credit there, which it's always very difficult to know.
the top 5 GC teams got to hire this Lotto Destiny Masseur.
I think that's the way to go. I think that is the way to go. I think that man deserves a magical raise.
Okay. Olympic selections. The news on Hammond suggests Bora are going towards being a GC team. He comes from Ineos, GC culture. And I think Rolf Aldag also said that they're transitioning GC team and their signings of the riders also make no
Logical,
secret of that. Olympic selections. Netherlands has announced they've only got 3 spots. Netherlands washed. Luke isn't even here to defend himself. He's on holiday.
They're washed.
Actually, today.
The entire country of the Netherlands. Oh, I shouldn't do that. There's a lot of Dutch fans watching this podcast.
But how they only got 3 spots?
I love the Netherlands.
How they not qualify for 4 spots?
I thought the same. Like Van der Poel, I'm guessing he has enough UCI point.
He doesn't race
It's so weird. But that being said, the riders they did select, because to be clear, the way the Olympics works is in the past there were loads of riders in the Olympics peloton. In the men's peloton, when it comes to Olympics, were like 150 whatever riders or something. So there were 7-man teams and so forth. Now, the IOC, is that it? The IOC, I think, wanted to make the amount of riders equal between the men's and the women's race. And to do so, instead of upping the women's race amount of riders that are in the race, they reduced the men's amount of riders in the race to, I think, 90, like the women's race. I think 90. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, it's about that.
Which makes it that we have teams of maximum 4 riders per country, that's crazy. The tactics in this race, I'm so looking forward to.
And only 4 or 5 countries with 4 riders.
Exactly. Your quota depends on, I think, your UCI pound points as a country on the UCI ranking in the last X amount of years. Yeah. And obviously, countries like Belgium will have 4 riders. But apparently, Netherlands, even though I think they've done quite a lot of stuff with Van der Poel in the last few years, they had a few sprinters gaining stuff as well. They only have 3 riders allowed, which is Van der Poel, Van Baarle, and Daan Hole. And at first, I gotta be honest, I was a bit surprised to see Motor Hole in the 3-man list.
I can understand it actually, because you come in with a top favorite, and realistically, like, who's going to be a really good co-leader with Van der Poel?
Yep.
So also, you just got to have one guy, one big horse to control the break.
And one of your riders needs to be the ITT rider as well, eh?
Yes, and that's Daan Hole. And Van Baarle's, I don't think he's not doing the TT.
Not sure.
Van Baarle can do a bit of, Van Baarle's the sort of guy, he can make a selection of 15 guys, but ultimately fold into a domestique role for Van der Poel after Hole has done his work. If you want to read, there's also the final Olympic rankings. That was in Raul's article on lanternrouge.com. We'll have that link down below. He explains that in detail. But it was very, very close. France, there was 5 teams with 4 quota places. And for the road race, and then the top 25 teams get a quota place for the ITT, and the top 10 teams get 2 quotas for the ITT thanks to the World Champs ITT. Very complicated. Anyway, the France only by like 330 UCI points got 5th spot to get 4 guys in the road race ahead of Spain. Netherlands, so there's, sorry, I should read 4 quota places. Belgium, Denmark?
Yeah.
Denmark was 2nd with Vingegaard, Schelmoser, Pedersen. They're okay riders. Slovenia 3rd. Great Britain 4th. I don't know how. France 5th. And then it was Spain, Netherlands, Italy, Australia, United States with 3. And then with 2, Switzerland, Portugal, Colombia, Norway, Germany, Austria, Ireland, Canada, Kazakhstan, New Zealand. And then, because Ecuador and Eritrea were 1,000 points off, getting 2 spots, which if they got 2 spots, there wouldn't be all this drama. So, it's really competitive. But there's also the women's quotas, 4 spots, Netherlands, no surprise in the women's. Italy, Belgium, Switzerland, Great Britain.
Vollering, Wiebes, Vos, and Van Dijk are the women's team. And I was speaking to my wife yesterday and discussing who every country should take. And that's actually the 4 women's squad we came up with.
You got to have Van Dijk in there.
Yeah, you got to have Vos, Wiebes, and Vollering because they're the best Dutch riders. And Van Dijk is one of those riders that is super strong, can win the time trial, and will fold into a domestique role when necessary in the road race. So I think that is a perfect selection when it comes to the women's squad.
That's correct.
And then there's more drama when it comes to the French one. France selected Victoire Berthaud, which I think is deserved. Juliette Labou, which I think is deserved. Audrey Cordon-Rago, where there is discussion possible, because Evita Music has had a fantastic last 3 months, and she is not selected, and she's a bit disappointed in that, has expressed that on social media. She will support the French team. Like, the whole thing of, like, I'm unhappy that I'm not selected, but I will support the French team as their first support, whatever, something like that. That was the gist of the French article. I'm not gonna translate it fully, but the discussion was on social media, why is Audrey Cordon-Rago selected and not Evita Music? And I see that. I think Music is a better rider now. As simple as that. Cordon-Rago's results this year have not been good. But for the time trial, Cordon-Rago got forfeit the European Championships ITT last year in September, which is actually not even a year ago, which I think that does seem like a valid excuse to take her.
Yes, and it is probably for the TT, but then it's like, I'm not even sure Labou is better than Music in one-day races. She is better in Liège, but then Music top 10 Binder, which is a similar course.
Yeah.
I mean, Berthaud, nice rider, but she was good in Drenthe. Yeah, it's so close between Berthaud. I would definitely have Berthaud in. Labou, Music, bit of a wash. To be honest, I see neither of them winning. I see neither of them podiuming, actually, because they don't have a sprint and the course isn't that hard. And yeah, ACR, maybe she'll be happy to be a domestique. I don't know. But Berthaud is actually their best chance.
The important factor here is that it's in France. You know?
I know, so it means a lot. Yeah, they'll never have this opportunity to do home games again. So I feel bad for they only have so many spots, but that's how it is. Then
again, they have a Tour de France in their country every year, so
true.
If there's one country that can't complain, it's probably them.
Let's do our Dauphiné preview. So the start list is pretty damn good. No, not too many teams confirmed yet, except for Ineos. They bring Carlito Rodriguez, Leon de Almuñécar as their GC leader. Also Joshua Tarling, probably the favorite for the long individual time trial, and a good rouleur squad. Visma will probably have Koos and Jorgensen, American Muscle GC boys. Got Ciccone, Geoghegan Hart, and Mads Pedersen at Trek. That's like 3 of their best riders. That's pretty damn good. Remco Evenepoel with the full TDF squad, plus Antoine Hubie.
Is it?
It's like, what, Moscon, Pedersen, Landa Van Wilder? That's like the meat of his team, no?
Is Knox going to be in the Tour de France squad, do you think? I'm not sure yet.
Antoine Hubie won't be.
Well, if he's very good at the Dauphiné, who knows?
He's a good rider, but yeah, I don't think so. Probably Ayuso at UAE, but they're not confirmed yet. It's going to be a good race. Roglic as well, sorry. Roglic, Hindley, Vlasov.
Pretty important.
At Bora. So, okay, there's no Vingegaard, there's no, what's his name? Pogacar, but we got the best, we got everybody else. So I'm really, really excited. Even, Gaudu, and everyone's been preparing. Everyone's been 3 weeks on top of some isolated mountain somewhere, and now it's not showtime yet, but it's like, usually if you're complete shit in the Dauphiné, you're not going to be that good in the Tour unless you literally had, I don't know, gastro or something. So
yes, when it comes to the profiles, though, that's where it gets interesting, because this parcours is actually quite a good, difficult parcours.
Yeah. It's hard.
It starts off with, I'd say, a versatile sprint stage, maybe, is how I would...
lumpy sprint stage.
A lumpy sprint stage. It still has 1,900 altitude meters, actually, so it's pretty...
They should get around it.
Yeah. Côte de la Loge is the finish for stage 2, which it's a
longer
stage.
Say that again more clearly.
Côte de la Loge.
Which Loge?
Loge.
When you said it, I was like, holy shit, they're doing Côte de la Loge on stage 2? What race is this? Poor Dylan Groenewegen is going to have to go home straight away.
No. I said Côte de la Loge. Get out of here.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying your pronunciation was incorrect. I'm just saying I was half asleep and I was like, Loge?
It's we're starting in Ghana in that stage. So we're starting in Philippe Ogana's body, and we finish on Col de la Loge. And the final climb is 10.9 kilometers. No, that's not true. That is so it's a staircase climb.
It's a staircase
It starts
climb,
with 7.4 kilometers at 6%, then a flat segment, then it has 10.9 kilometers at 3.6%, of which the first 3.2 kilometers are 5.8%. So this is a group sprint.
This is a Roglic stomp if I ever saw one.
Yeah, this is a group sprint.
This is the Roglic uphill. I mean, he's been winning these for years. This is what, but now Remco's
Yeah, but this year he hasn't won those, eh?
No. And Ciccone is not bad. I mean, Ciccone is some guy I would like to be sneaky on that sort of stage. But I think that'll be a GC sprint. 181 Ks the next day from Celles-sur-Durolle to Les Estables. And this is much the same, to be honest. It's lumpy. It's way too hard for someone like who's here. Bennett. Sam Bennett is like a pure sprinter that's here. I even think...
of course, dude. It's a hill stage.
Yeah, but Bennett actually in good shape. But
yeah, he is.
But it's too hard for him. And I question, is this too hard for Pedersen, Benji? 4Ks, 5%. This is really on the limit, and it really depends how it's paced. This is an Alaphilippe, Van Aert, Van der Poel, but also Roglic and the GC guys that want to go for Boney. So another interesting finish where I think it will just be another group sprint, but amongst who, that is the question. Then stage 4 is a long time trial, 34 kilometers long, very lumpy, in fact. 427 meters altitude gain. These sort of long, hilly ITTs are always in the Dauphiné, and I'm keen to see Roglic, Remco, how the Americans go, but also Josh Tarling. This is his big chance to take his first ever... Oh, no, fuck, he already won a World Tour TT and renewed it. His biggest win
the Olympics ITT soon, so...
Yeah. His biggest win to date, then.
Yeah, until the Olympics ITT.
Yeah,
we agree on that. Stage 5 is a sprint stage, but it's got a lot of hills in it, so it's going to be a bit of a versatile sprint stage. Then stage 6 is...
Stage 5... Stage 5 is from previous years. The Juanpe is chasing for Mads Pedersen's sprint stage, where it's like the flat downhill after the last climb, and he's chasing like a Carlos Verona when he was on Movistar, who's taking a flyer, and Juanpe's like, like trying to do as far as he can on like a false flat downhill. It's a Pedersen sprint.
I would classify it as the Pernsteiner pacing for Colbrelli stage.
Yeah, that's the one. Then Roman yes, that's the same one.
But stage 6 is where the beauty starts. This is not a pure Unipuerto stage, but comes close, where there's 2 climbs. The second last climb is with about 50 kilometers to go, Col du Granier. 9 kilometers, 5.5%. Then we've got a valley of about 20 to 30 kilometers, roughly. And we start the final climb, Le Collet d'Allevar, which is a hard climb, actually. 11.2 kilometers at 8.5%. You won't see me riding that anytime soon. But stage 7 is where shit will hit the fan 100%. That is the hardest stage of the Dauphiné, right?
Yeah, I think so. Well, not I think so. Yes, it is. Like, stage before, 3,500 meters altitude gain. This stage has 156 Ks. Over 4K elevation gain, and there's not much flat. In fact, it starts false flat uphill. Col de Cézy, 10K, 6.5%. Arrache, 6K, 7%. Ramaz, which they did before the Jouplan last year, super hard. Category 1, 14K, 7%. It's also irregular, so a lot of the climbing's actually, at 10%. And then Samoin, I don't know how to say 1600 in French, but it's hard. Not 10K is 9%. Also, it's fake news climb because the first 2Ks average 6%. So really, it's like 10% for a long way.
1600.
1600. Okay.
I had to Google it.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we need the Walloon version too. That is hard. This is like a proper mountain stage, and we will really see who's the best, who's in the best shape, because this is there's no hiding here either. Stage. Yeah, oh, sorry, go on.
I will say, however, there's no hiding here, but considering we come to this Grand Tour with riders that don't know where they stand, Roglic, Remco, even Ayuso might not know where he stands compared to the others here. Is there a chance that we don't see the... Because, like, if I look at this parkour, I see, first climb, you can get Sattler riders in the breakaway. If you can get an attack on the Ramaz, then a valley afterwards. I don't see that happening in this Dauphiné.
I don't see it either. I think they'll just play it straight up, and it'll be the best will be decided on
I think so.
on that climb. And stage 8 is from Tourton to Plateau de Glières. Glières is where Roglic was the best actually in the 2020 Tour de France, but he didn't put the hammer down to really take more
stage.
time. Yeah, it was the gravel stage. 160 Ks, also very, very difficult with nearly 4K elevation gain, 160 Ks. They do Forclaz, which I think they also did in the Tour last year. Not as many long climbs as the stage before, but it's up and down all day. This is where I more see a raid possible. And also, because there will be big gaps the day before, people, and this is the last stage, shit always hits the fan. And they start with a 7K, 7% climb. The last 4K is 10% on Forclaz out of the gate. Unfortunately, I mean, every year I pray, ASO, please televise this stage in full, because break formation in this stage every year is crazy. And there's long valleys afterwards. I really can't wait to watch this stage. It should be very, very exciting because, okay, say Remco takes the ascendancy on stage 7, or Roglic is ahead after the TT and his Rogler stomps for bonies. Okay, he's 30 seconds ahead. Everyone's going to trek. Visma, who will, their guys will lose time in the TT. They got to go for it. So I can't wait to watch.
Plateau de Glières is also a hard climb. Like it says 9.3 kilometers, 7.3%, but there's very steep segments in there, right? It's kind of like, is it kind of like Muddy Blanc in that sense?
Yeah,
longer, but
the last 1,500 meters or 2Ks are like 2%. So the first 7Ks are like 9%. So it's super hard. There's some ramps in there.
Nice.
Who you got for the Dauphiné W?
It's very difficult. Like I said, everybody's kind of unknown what their form is like. Roglic was on the bike very swiftly, but then again, he wasn't looking that great in his earlier races this year. Then Remco, on the other hand, he didn't win Paris, but I feel like that's more a tactical thing than an actual performance thing still, personally. I
think Remco will win. They're talking too much about how he's in bad shape. I heard this all before.
Yeah, but that's usually Alaphilippe talk, eh?
Yeah.
I haven't heard this when it comes to Remco yet.
No, I think he's playing.
Usually it's the other way around. Usually they're like, oh, he's ready for the Giro. He just come back from a near-death experience in Lombardia, but he's on point, even though he just had like 2 months of training postponement, and now he's going to start the Giro as co-leader together with Almeida. And then it didn't work out, obviously. I don't want to go for like an obvious, so I'm going to go for Ayuso.
Okay, Ayuso. There's also Brussels Cycling Classic this weekend, which will have Binny, Dali, all the Dot Pro point hunters that we know and love, which I'll also be watching that this weekend. So hope you enjoyed the podcast and the LRCP Weekly Show, brought to you by Join Cycling. Time for me to even go out and get on the bike ASAP, actually. I got to go. So thanks, Benji, for getting up early for this recording, and we'll see you with the Dauphiné Stage 1 on Saturday or Sunday. Till then, ciao.